we have a juicy Oilers update on what could have been yesterday at the trade deadline for the Edmonton Oilers when it comes to Evander Kane. All that and more today on Oilers Digest as we also set up tonight's game against the Dallas Stars. Do not adjust your speakers. I'm still a little bit under the weather, but folks, it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon and I am ready for some Oilers hockey, and hopefully you are as well. And also, again, some juicy details surrounding yesterday's drama at the NHL trade deadline. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so. If you're part of the 24% that has subscribed to the channel, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. But folks, if you're part of the 75%, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button down below for any and all Oiler content. Of course, we're past the big main event of the NHL season, the trade deadline, and we are getting set for the NHL playoffs, which kick off in a little over a month. But let's get right into the news. Yes, deadline drama when it comes to Evander Kane and LTIR. Of course, there were lots of question marks up in the air. Is he returning this season? Is he not? Because if he was going to return this season, the Oilers could not take advantage of his $5.125 million for the LTIR to make a big trade. But it was announced yesterday that he will miss the rest of the regular season and he will not be back until the playoffs. But when it comes to the Oilers potentially making a trade for Evander Kane at the deadline, Elliot Friedman said yes, there was one team after him at the phones for Evander Kane. He said they worked it out with Evander Kane too, being the Oilers, and trying to figure out what exactly is going on with his health. I do think this is something we're going to sort out over the next little while. I heard there was something going on. I think there was at least one team out there that thought about Kane. I got to figure that out, who that was, but I did hear something now, which is very interesting because, of course, Evander Kane had to fill out a 16-team trade list, most of when were contenders, so it kind of, it's making me wonder who exactly which team that it was that phoned for Evander Kane. Could have been a team like, the Florida Panthers that phoned Edmonton, because of course they did get Brad Marchand, and you know how much they love their pests and their annoying players. Or it could have been, a team like the Washington Capitals before the Oilers signed Evander Kane in January of 2022. Washington was one of the teams that was in on Evander Kane, so lots of question marks, and it's very interesting to see why the Oilers didn't make that deal. Of course, maybe the other team wanted the Oilers to retain, and the Oilers just weren't up for that at all, and they'd be obviously getting fleeced when it comes to a cap dump. And I mean, it's not really a cap dump when you are retaining salary at all, but very, very interesting. Now, when it comes to his timeline on return, Stan Bowman had this to say regarding a potential Evander Kane return. He said, "We don't exactly know when that will be. It's not going to be in the regular season. Will it be at the start of the playoffs? He will definitely be back playing for us this year, so he's got a lot of elements that can be game-changing. It's not like we know he's going to be ready by this date. We just know he's not going to be ready by the end of the regular season, which is why it became clear that we had to look at improving our team a different way because he's not going to be coming back in that time period." Now, when it comes to, Stan Bowman and his, cap management and his flexibility regarding trades for the Oilers, I think he had a good trade deadline. Not a great trade deadline when it comes to other teams in the Western Conference, especially around the league there when it comes to, the arms race heading into the playoffs. Multiple teams got better in the Oilers. I don't want to say they made a lateral move, but they got a little bit better, but not to the extent of other teams like Colorado, Dallas. The main two in my eyes. Even, a team like the Florida Panthers, acquiring Brad Marchand and Seth Jones. So the Oilers, of course, with multiple players with, no move clauses, they could only do so much. But with Stan Bowman for his first deadline as Oilers GM, he had a pretty good deadline. But for the Oilers, it's pretty good because when it comes to their cap space, they do have a full active roster, so they don't have to do some cap juggling to get guys in and out of the lineup. So Kris Knoblauch has every player on the active roster, mind you, except for Trent Frederick, who should make his debut before the end of the month according to Stan Bowman in the Oilers roster. So Kris Knoblauch, the magician, at work with the Oilers lineup. But Some more juicy gossip here from TSN's Reiner Schock. The Oilers took a huge swing yesterday. Sources say Mikko Rantanen had interest in coming to Edmonton, and things were well down the path, an extension being agreed to. The numbers were north of what Dallas signed him for, which I do believe was $12 million. In the end, the trade assets weren't there to get it done. Also sounds like they looked in on Rickard Rakell from Pittsburgh and Ryan Donato as well from Chicago. So very interesting to see that, Stan Bowman certainly tried his best, but, with the acquisitions that he had so far, again, I'll hammer it home. Good trade deadline, but not a great one. I would have loved Rickard Rakell on that second line with Leon Draisaitl, but you can't always get what you want. Now it's very interesting to see, what Edmonton offered for Mikko Rantanen. Would have been obviously like a Matt Savoy type trade, because of course the Dallas Stars trading Logan Stankoven to the Carolina Hurricanes, along with a multitude of picks to the Carolina Hurricanes. So Carolina, obviously took the highest bidder in Dallas, won the Mikko Rantanen sweepstakes, and ironically enough, that is who Edmonton is playing tonight, with superstars coming through. Of course, Dallas's first trip to Edmonton since the pivotal Game 6 of last year's Western Conference Final, when Stuart Skinner held the fort down for Edmonton last year. Hopefully, he does the same again tonight, 9 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Mountain, on Hockey Night in Canada. Dallas, Edmonton. For those of you older Oiler fans, of course, you're still haunted by the names of, Brett Hull, Mike Modano, Joe Nieuwendyk, Ed Belfour, for when Dallas kept rolling into Edmonton year after year and pretty much had their way with the Edmonton Oilers. But just taking a look at the Oilers lineup tonight, no Mattias Ekholm or John Klingberg on the ice, so don't expect them to see them in the lineup tonight. Of course, both missed the other game against the Montreal Canadiens. So they're just, rehabbing from whatever they have. Of course, Mattias Ekholm been dealing with the illness for what seems to be the past month, and then John Klingberg with an undisclosed injury. But Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman, Vasily Podkolzin, Leon Draisaitl, and Victor Arvidsson. And then after the worst breakaway ever against the Montreal Canadiens, Mattias Janmark back in the lineup tonight alongside Adam Henrique and Connor Brown, and a Max Jones who had a phenomenal game against the Montreal Canadiens, making an impression amongst many Oiler fans, including myself, with Kasperi Kapanen and Corey Perry, which seemed to be a very good line, a very good fourth line for the Edmonton Oilers against the Canadiens. And then, of course, Brett Kulak and Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse and Ty Emberson, and then making his Edmonton Oiler debut wearing number 96, the first Oiler to wear number 96, Jake Wallman, who I'm very excited to see in the orange and blue with Troy Stecher, with Stuart Skinner between the pipes tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. We're going to have to see Game 6 Stuart Skinner tonight. Of course, he had a pretty solid game against Montreal. Maybe the Joel Armia goal he should have had, but otherwise, 2 goals against. That's a win in itself here for Stuart Skinner. But the Oilers need to be physical, and they just need to, not get involved with the track meet with the Dallas Stars. They just need to play their own tempo and get back to their winning ways and build off of that win against the Canadiens, against one of the best teams in the NHL. And of course, Jake Wallman, very, very excited to be a part of the Oilers. He said, at some point in my career, I knew this would come, playing meaningful games. I've always wanted to be a part of a team that has a chance. I'm really excited to add a little bit to the team, and of course, hoping to play some more playoff games and add to his one career NHL playoff game, coming as a member of the St. Louis Blues against the Colorado Avalanche in that weird playoff format in the year of 2021. But very excited for Jake Wallman to make his debut here for the Oilers later on tonight. But just taking a look at the Dallas Stars, who are third in the entire National Hockey League, winners of their last 4. Of course, the Oilers still trying to maintain their way in that top 10 position in the NHL, but the Dallas Stars just phenomenal. I mean, their penalty kill best in the NHL, 84.3. So if the Oilers, usually their lethal power play, if they do get one tonight, good luck scoring on these Dallas Stars, and including, the advanced analytics when it comes to expected goals versus goals. Lots of snipers on this Dallas Stars team. So, of course, lots of guys who know how to put the puck in the back of the net. Just taking a look at their lineup tonight, Jason Robertson, Rupe Hintz, and making his Dallas Stars debut, Mikko Rantanen. Of course, the Oilers playing Mikko Rantanen for the third time against, his with his third team. Of course, the Oilers playing Mikko Rantanen against the Colorado Avalanche, playing Mikko Rantanen against the Carolina Hurricanes last Saturday, and lastly here, Mikko Rantanen with his new team, the Dallas Stars. So lots of different uniforms you've seen this Finn play in, but the Oilers no stranger to Mikko Rantanen. Mason Marchment, Matt Duchene, and Mikhail Granlund make up their second line. Jamie Benn, Y. Johnston, Evgeny Dodonov, and then Oscar Back, Sam Steele, and Maverick Bourque. That is their projected forward lineup. And then just taking a look on the back end, minus Miro Heiskanen, who is still suffering from that injury, with Thomas Harley, who we all saw dominate in his 2 games at the Four Nations Face-Off. I love the way that kid played, but unfortunately, I have to cheer against him tonight with Ilya Lyubushkin, Esa Lindell, Cody Ceci, former Oiler Cody Ceci, might I add, and Leon Bixel and Matt Dumba make up their defensive group. And then that's not it. We also have Jake Ottinger between the pipes tonight for the Dallas Stars. The goals against average of 2.42 and a save percentage of .911. And he's won his last 3, and he's won, 4 out of his last 5 with some phenomenal numbers here. A .929 in 2 straight games, a .935, and a .919 in all of his wins. So should be a very interesting one for the Oilers in Stars tonight. Of course, the Oilers have to be on the puck all game long. They can't be complacent against the team like the Dallas Stars. And you need your top guys to do top guy things. Of course, McDavid, Draisaitl, and you need some secondary guys to step up. You need that third line to do something once in a while with Janmark, Henrique, in Connor Brown here. But again, should be an interesting one. Dallas, Edmonton in Edmonton. Second game of the Hockey Night in Canada doubleheader. That is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the whole Evander Kane drama. Do you think we will see him for game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, or do you think we will see him later down the road in the playoff run? I know there are lots of reports saying that he wasn't, having back-to-back intense workouts, so he's trying to, space his rehab out and try to get healthy. Of course, you can't rush something like that. The amount of benchmarks he has yet to clear when it comes to getting cleared by a doctor to make sure that he is A-okay for his return to the Oiler lineup. I'm kind of glad they didn't trade him. Sure, if the right deal was there, sure, pull the trigger. But for many Oiler fans like myself, I don't think we'll see the vintage Evander Kane. But you never know what you have until you actually see it on the ice in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, it is a much different beast. But if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe here, folks, and enjoy the game tonight. Hockey Night in Canada, always a fantastic one, folks. Let's go Oilers. I'm Matt.